Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have a review of a figure that I think many people have been greatly anticipating. This is, as you could probably tell, of course, by the thumbnail and then the title of the video, but also by the image right before you, this is the W Dragon Giganotosaurus, based on the Dino Crisis Giganotosaurus. So it's something that I think, again, a lot of people have been really psyched about because we haven't ever had Dino Crisis figures before. So this one coming from W Dragon is an amazing way to introduce Dino Crisis figures to the dinosaur collecting community, and hopefully they'll continue with other figures from those games because I absolutely love those games. So this Giganotosaurus was something that I knew I needed in my collection, and I'm really excited to take a look at it now that it's here. As far as the box art, you can see the W Dragon logo there in the corner. It also says Giganotosaurus down here on the bottom. And then you have a really cool image of the Giganotosaurus that is contained within the box right there. If you look up here on the top, you also have some more images, kind of another image of the Giganotosaurus sort of creeping through right there, as well as just some random images of like vegetation, it looks like, and things like that in the background. And then the back of the box sports another image, again stating Giganotosaurus, but you can also sort of make out like the mouth of the Giganotosaurus and everything that is within this box. So I am so excited about this. Been waiting quite a while for it to arrive, so let's go ahead, break it out of this box, and take a look at it. So here is the base that goes with our Giganotosaurus. As per usual, W Dragon usually gives us a base with the figures, and then here is the feet, I guess you could see at this point, of the Giganotosaurus. Get that down there on the base, and then we'll bring it up and take a look at it, and look at how beautiful that is. This looks exactly like the prototypes that I can recall. Man, that's so good. It's not often that you get a figure that shows up looking pretty much exactly like the prototype did, but I can definitely say that that's exactly what I see here with this Giganotosaurus. It is super nice looking, and again, just looks pretty much exactly like the prototype images led me to believe it would. Beautiful paint scheme. The sculpt overall is extremely striking and really nicely resembles the Dino Crisis Giganotosaurus. So let's go ahead and get a closer look at this bad boy right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of the Giganotosaurus, the very first thing that I want to point out, which is probably something that everyone is noticing straight away about the figure, is that there is an eye injury. It seems as though it's been in some sort of a fight, has received some injury to the eye, and now appears to be blind, it looks like. And there's also some wounds that come down right there that actually have blood. If my camera would focus on it a little better, it looks like some blood to it, or just maybe scars. I'm not too sure. There is a little bit of a glossy appearance to it, which I actually don't recall the Giganotosaurus from Dino Crisis having an eye injury. I could be wrong. Maybe it's just been so long since I played the game, but I don't remember it having an eye injury, so I don't know if maybe that's just something that W Dragon chose to do on their own just to give it a little bit of flashiness, which in my opinion is actually really cool. I love that idea. I just don't really recall it being on the Giganotosaurus in the game, but otherwise you can see that the head sculpt sports some absolutely gorgeous sculpt and detail up here, and it's all brought out really nicely with a beautiful wash. You can see, especially on the lower jaw, all the scale detail just pops so well all over the entire head sculpt of this Giganotosaurus. Really nicely done as far as that paint application, but also really nicely done as far as the sculpt and detail. As always from W Dragon, they really produce absolutely gorgeous dinosaur figures each and every time. You can see there's a lot of really nice blues going on up here on the face. They do stripe down in certain areas, and I really do like the color design that they've come up with for the Giganotosaurus. Really beautiful coloration all over. It doesn't really look paint-wise, though, like the Dino Crisis version, because the Dino Crisis in Dino Crisis 2, which is where I believe Giganotosaurus is from, it has more of like a reddish look to it. So I don't really know if this was just a choice on their part or if this was kind of their take on the paint scheme from the game, because again, that's a pretty old game. It's really pixelated, so it's not, the easiest way to tell exactly how it's colored, but I think it was more of a reddish coloration than this brown. However, I do really actually quite like the paint scheme they've gone with here a lot on the figure. The jaw is actually articulated, which is something you don't see from W Dragon, and I do love that. Absolutely love the fact that the jaw is articulated. It's nice to see that W Dragon is kind of opening new doors as far as their models go and adding on really cool things like articulated jaws now. And if we get it up nice and close, you can see how beautifully sculpted the inside of the mouth is. Really nice wash seems to be given to it as well. You can see that gorgeous looking tongue sculpt in there, really nicely textured. The entire inside of the mouth actually sports some incredible sculpt and detail in there, and again, with that really nice wash they've added, it all looks super realistic inside the mouth. It also sports a really nice gloss coat as well. You can see the teeth are painted really nicely. No sloppiness in any way, shape, or form at all as far as the teeth go on this Giganotosaurus, and you can see that on each and every side. It is just painted to perfection, and the actual sculpting of the teeth as well just looks incredible, all of which include that very nice gloss coat like I had stated. And the articulated jaw is actually picture perfect as far as how it works. You can see it opens pretty much to any length you would like and stays with ease. Really nicely done in that aspect as well. You can see the nostrils sculpted out up here. Very rough looking top of the head to the Giganotosaurus. Again, very reminiscent to the version from Dino Crisis. Very heavily armored. You can see looking up here, and the actual sculpt and detail is really nice, as well as the paint. Once again, it seems like it's been painted with a black and then dry brushed over with this blue, or it was painted with the blue and given a nice black wash. Regardless, what I can tell you is you can see different tones of color up here. It's either a black or maybe even a dark blue. It's really hard to tell, but then there's that lighter blue that kind of creeps in between, and it really looks nice the way they've done that. Beautiful tones of color included. Coming back here into the neck area, you can see the ear right there. You can also see lots of really nice skin texture, lots of really nice creasing to the skin there. And again, it just looks gorgeous the way they painted this. I really love how W Dragon paints their figures. Just gives it a super realistic appearance. Nice skin down here hanging in the throat. You can see lots of skin wrinkles and everything going on. Lots of skin creasing going on in the throat. It definitely appears to be a very large animal. Just looking at it, you can see it really has a very large animal feel. Coming back here into the neck, you can see like a line of ridges that actually turns into like osteoderms or scoots that run down and then kind of disappear right as we get to the hip area. You can also see another line of those right here, and then right here along the stomach, which is very different than most figures that you usually see. You don't really see that kind of like random placement of the osteoderms like that. And I think it actually looks really cool and definitely creates some difference between this and many other figures out there. Coming here into the arm, you can pick up on the shoulder blade a little bit right there. The arm sculpt is beautiful, really nicely done. You can also see that there is some nicely painted nails with a grayish coloration. They are perfectly glossed, so they look very realistic, shine quite realistically. You can see the elbow back here. You can also see some really nice skin folding going on here in the stomach region. The leg is pushing into the stomach, folding up that skin quite realistically. Very nice skin texture within the stomach, and again, it's all brought out very nicely with that beautiful wash that they've given it. Very nice brown stripes that run down the course of the body, and then you can see a little bit of a lighter coloration, and then it transfers back to like a different color, a little bit darker right there, and then lighter back down here. So there's lots of paint variation to the figure. Really nice looking as far as the actual paint application. Moving back here, you can see the hip bone. You can also see a beautiful leg sculpt as we move down into the thigh. We have some more of those lines, those kind of stripes that run down here as far as that brown coloration, and then that blue that starts up here in the front of the thigh. You also have the lighter coloration back here, which again, that darker wash or the dry brushing, however they painted that, looks super nice overall. Really nice kneecap here in the front of the leg. You can see the muscle definition beautifully portrayed here in the sculpt. Very nice bulging calf muscle as well. Looks extremely nice as far as that goes. And then coming down into the foot sculpt, that foot sculpt is gorgeous. Really beautiful looking foot sculpt. Nice scoots down the foot, nicely painted nails, and again, they also include a nice gloss coat to them, so they shine quite realistically like real nails would. You can also see the dew claw is present, which I always love to check for that. Back up here into the tail, the skin is stretching off of the tail really nicely. You can see lots of creasing again within the skin texture of the tail, and we lead out the length of the tail, which has a very nice curve to it. Looks like a very nice natural curve. Nothing that I could not possibly see a dinosaur like this pulling off. Really gorgeous sculpt and detail here on the underside as well. Look at all the different skin folds and skin wrinkles going on here on the underside, especially when you get up here into the throat region of the Giganotosaurus. And then looking at the opposing side, again, the head sculpt is just incredibly flashy, but look at how beautifully painted that eye is with that greenish coloration, and the way that green plays off of that dark blue is so incredibly cool. Just gives the Giganotosaurus like a very creepy look, an extremely evil type of a look, I would say. But again, really gorgeous looking as far as that eye paint, and the sculpt is fantastic. You can actually see a little bit of a gloss coat there added to the nose. So that is another really cool dose of realism that I like to see. Moving back here into the neck region, you can see the ear once again sculpted out there. We have that armored type of a look to the back of the dinosaur, and we start up with those kind of scoots and everything like we had seen on the previous side. You can take note to that kind of hanging skin again here in the neck region. The skin texture looks really nice the entire way through, and once again the paint application has been applied in such a brilliant fashion that it allows all that detail to really shine through in pretty much every area of the figure. The arm sculpt also looks really nice over here. Nice scoots down the fingers. Again, the nails are painted really nicely. And then coming back here into the stomach region, you can see how nice those scoots look up here as far as the sculpting of that area goes, but really nice skin texture in the stomach region. Lots of skin folding going on here in the lower part of the stomach, and you can also see now this leg is pulling back, so the skin is kind of stretching as opposed to the way it was bunched up over here. Very nice attention to detail on the part of W Dragon. Again, there's just so much really nice skin texturing, skin detailing to this figure. It's really, really impressive. You can pick up on the hip bone once again up here. Beautiful muscle tone in the thigh area and the calf as we move down. Nice creasing in the skin of the knee. You can see the kneecap, and then coming down into the foot. Again, the foot looks really, really nicely sculpted, beautifully painted, nicely painted nails again. And then coming back up here, the skin texture looks really nice, nice creasing and everything going on right there, but it looks super nice the entire way out the tail. Really nice curve. Again, beautiful paint application, beautiful sculpt. Overall, extremely, extremely impressive is this Giganotosaurus in every aspect. The sculpt is just fantastic and giving you that really cool Dino Crisis look. It's something that I absolutely am so psyched to add to my collection. And then as far as the base goes, the base just pretty much appears to be like a earthy area, a rocky area. Really nicely sculpted though. You can see the footprint for the Giganotosaurus as well as a peg that sticks up there that you use to apply your Giganotosaurus to its base, but really nice paint application on this as well. There are a lot of different tones of color included to make sure that it looks as realistic and lifelike as possible. As always with W Dragon bases, they always do usually look really, really good, and then you can see a nice soft area for the underside so that it doesn't damage anything that it sits upon, but a really nice base. Nothing over the top, nothing crazy, but definitely serves its purpose and overall is really nicely sculpted and painted. So another really cool aspect to the figure, yes, it does come with a really nice base. Yes, the base works perfectly. However, if you would like, you can actually stand your Giganotosaurus up totally independently on its own. You don't need the base for it, and it actually stands quite nicely without the base. But again, the base being here means why not put it on there, because again, I actually like bases a lot with my figures, but you can see a little hole down there that you slide that peg into. You just have to push it, work its way down, and now it actually stands really nicely on the base as well. But for a size on our Giganotosaurus, if we go for a length from the head to the tail, you are looking at about 15 inches or 38 centimeters in length. And then for a height to the top of the neck, I would say is the highest point, you're looking at just over 5 inches or about 13 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon next to our W Dragon Giganotosaurus. And you can see next to these figures that it sports some pretty good size, but honestly, I think it's a little smaller than I was expecting it to be. However, again, in comparison to these figures, it still does have some pretty nice size to it, but the reason I say it's a little bit smaller than I expected is because when you compare it to other W Dragon figures, like specifically the Spinosaurus that you see behind the Giganotosaurus, you can see that there is a very large amount of size difference between the Spinosaurus there and the Giganotosaurus, and I just really expected them to all kind of be to scale with each other, although they really haven't been, I guess, in the past. If you can recall the bull T-Rex in comparison to their female T-Rex, I feel like the female was significantly larger than the male, which probably shouldn't have been that much larger, but again, you can definitely see that the Spinosaurus really quite dwarfs the Giganotosaurus. But for another size comparison, there is the Bull Tyrannosaurus from W Dragon next to our Giganotosaurus. Again, it's still really nicely sized if you don't compare it with the other W Dragon figures, and overall is an absolutely gorgeous looking model, just a little bit smaller I think than I was expecting. So this 2020 W Dragon Giganotosaurus, even excluding the fact that it's a bit smaller than I was expecting, is an unbelievably beautiful model from W Dragon. I am absolutely in love with it and totally blown away by its beauty. From the moment that I got it out of the packaging, I just haven't stopped staring at how beautiful it is, because it really is an incredible looking Giganotosaurus model. Sculpt-wise, it is off the charts. Pretty much the usual when it comes to W Dragon. They don't ever skimp out on sculpt detail, and you can always continuously find extremely highly detailed figures in every W Dragon release, and I can assure you that this Giganotosaurus is no different in any way, shape, or form, and actually could potentially be one of, if not the most detailed W Dragon figures I think I've seen. Sculpt-wise, there's just a lot to it, and it is really, really beautiful as far as the detailing goes, and all of that detail is brilliantly brought out to us with the way it's been painted, again, including washes and really nice dry brushing, and just overall an excellent looking paint job that I feel like really does the prototype justice. It really looks just pretty much like the prototype did, if you ask me, and that is definitely really awesome, because it's not something that you get too often from companies, that the factory released version looks as good as the prototype did. Even W Dragon themselves, a lot of their prototypes usually look a bit better than the actual factory released figure, but with this one specifically, I feel like it looks pretty much just as good as the prototype did, and overall is a gorgeous paint job for this Giganotosaurus. And I do want to state that even though it is a beautiful paint job for the Giganotosaurus, it just doesn't look exactly like the Dino Crisis version. However, I don't believe W Dragon's goal here was to make it specifically a Dino Crisis figure. I think that was just sort of the inspiration for some areas of the sculpt, and they kind of took inspiration from a few different areas to create the figure. However, regardless, I still think it is a beautiful throwback and a beautiful tribute to the Dino Crisis 2 Giganotosaurus. Sculpt-wise, again, that head looks exactly like the Giganotosaurus did from Dino Crisis, but the paint job just probably should be a little more reddish than brown, and then it would have looked more so like the Giganotosaurus from Dino Crisis. That's just my opinion. Maybe it's just been too long since I played the game. It has been a very, very long time since I played Dino Crisis, and I could be completely wrong. Maybe the paint scheme does look more like this. I just sort of remember it having like a reddish type of a look as opposed to this brownish type of a look. But the actual paint scheme they've given it, again, looks fantastic and is beautifully applied. And I do actually quite like the fact that they've given it that injured eye, even though that wasn't something I recall happening in the game. It's just a really cool little addition that most people don't seem to do with their figures, so I really do like the fact that W Dragon has applied that injury here, and they've also added a nice gloss coat to the area under the eye where it looks like it's been wounded. And they also have an articulated jaw, which is huge as far as W Dragon goes, because I don't ever recall them having that before. So that, in my opinion, straight away is an incredibly awesome touch on the part of W Dragon to now incorporate the articulated jaw. But this figure, again, absolutely gorgeous and a definite recommendation from me. Even if you aren't a fan of Dino Crisis and just want a really cool Giganotosaurus, this is an excellent choice to go with. So if you would like to pick this up, I will include a link to a seller that I buy from consistently on Aliexpress. This is where I actually purchased mine from, so make sure you head to the description, go buy this fantastic Giganotosaurus from Model Toy Center on Aliexpress, and make sure you also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.